Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we're going to look at biology through a completely different lens. We're actually going to treat biology as nature's engineering. We'll be exploring how different organisms solve the exact same universal challenges of survival by mapping out life's most essential systems. So if you've ever wondered how the machinery of life actually scales from a single microscopic cell all the way up to complex mammals, well, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're tackling 4 of the ultimate engineering challenges: how animals breathe, the circulatory transport network, the many colors of blood, and finally, managing waste and water. Let's dive right into section 1, how animals breathe, or sourcing the fuel. Right, so our first survival problem is a huge one. Literally every living machine needs a way to get oxygen into the body to generate energy, and, just as importantly, a way to get the exhaust, carbon dioxide, out. Nature has engineered several totally distinct ways to breathe, and it's a perfect example of form following function based on where an animal lives. For aquatic environments, boom, nature engineered gills, specifically designed to pull dissolved oxygen straight out of the water. But terrestrial life faces a massive engineering trade-off, the constant risk of drying out. To solve that, we see the evolution of internal systems. We're talking lungs in mammals, specialized book lungs in spiders, and these incredibly complex tracheal systems in insects. Keeping those respiratory surfaces tucked safely inside the body prevents moisture loss while still perfectly sourcing that necessary fuel. But hey, at the absolute most fundamental level, gas exchange can happen right across the general body's surface. Think about a super simple single-celled organism. It doesn't need complex internal organs or a trachea. It simply draws oxygen in and pushes carbon dioxide out directly across its outer boundary. From an engineering perspective, why does this actually work? Well, it all comes down to the surface area to volume ratio. When you are a microscopic machine, your total volume is so incredibly small that your outer boundary provides more than enough surface area to diffuse gases across the whole shebang. When you're that tiny, your cellular boundary is literally the only respiratory hardware you need. Moving on to section 2, the circulatory transport network, or delivering the fuel. Because when an animal scales up, a simple surface exchange just doesn't cut it anymore. You have to move that oxygen around. This internal highway network comes in 2 main structural designs. First, you have the open circulatory system. This is where fluid essentially bathes the organs directly, pooling in blood sinuses. Why build an open system? Because it's super energy efficient and low maintenance. It's absolutely perfect for smaller creatures, like insects, that don't need highly pressurized internal delivery. On the flip side, we have the closed system, where fluid is securely contained and routed through a strict, continuous network of vessels. Now, a closed system requires a massive amount of metabolic energy to build and run, but the trade-off? Totally worth it for larger animals. It allows for the high-pressure, rapid fuel delivery that is an absolute necessity for large, high-performance machines. And of course, every highway network needs a pump, an engine, to keep things moving. Interestingly, the evolutionary divergence in design even extends to where this engine is placed in the body. Non-chordates typically feature a dorsal heart, meaning their central engine is placed along their back. Vertebrates, like us, feature a ventral heart, meaning our engine is placed toward the front. It's just a fascinating look at how 2 completely different evolutionary branches solve the exact same problem of engine placement. But the most crucial point about this central engine is how it scales up in complexity to meet the immense demands of larger, more active bodies. We see this brilliant progression of biological upgrades. Biology starts with a simple 2-chambered pump, 1 atrium and 1 ventricle. Then, nature steps it up to a 3-chambered heart. Finally, we reach the ultimate upgrade, the highly efficient 4-chambered heart, equipped with 2 atria and 2 ventricles. Why is this 4-chamber design the absolute pinnacle of evolutionary engineering? Because it completely separates the oxygen-rich blood from the oxygen-depleted blood. There is zero mixing. This maximizes metabolic efficiency and provides the intense pumping power you need for high-performance, warm-blooded machines like birds and mammals. Which brings us to section 3, the many colors of blood, or the delivery vehicles. So, now that we understand the transport highways and the engines pumping the fluid, we have to talk about the literal delivery trucks carrying the oxygen, the respiratory pigments. We humans rely so heavily on red blood that it's just kind of universal to our experience, right? But it begs a genuinely fascinating question. Is all blood bright red across the animal kingdom? If you've never thought about this, seriously, prepare to have your mind blown. It turns out blood color is entirely dependent on the chemical pigment used as the delivery vehicle, and specifically the metal base at the core of that pigment. Vertebrates use hemoglobin, which relies on iron, giving oxygenated blood that familiar bright red color we all know. But some mollusks and arthropods use a pigment called hemocyanin, which uses copper as its base metal. This completely alters the fluid, turning their oxygenated blood an incredible, vibrant blue. In fact, horseshoe crabs have this blue, copper-based blood, and it's so sensitive to toxic bacteria that it's literally harvested and used in modern medicine today to test the safety of our vaccines. Wild, right? And the weird chemistry doesn't even stop there. You have hemoerythrin, an iron-based pigment found in marine worms that makes their blood pink or violet. And finally, chlorocrurorin, also iron-based, used by segmented marine worms, which remarkably turns their blood bright green. The sheer wonder of this chemical engineering just cannot be overstated. Swapping a single base atom, just shifting from iron to copper at the core of a complex molecule, radically alters the physical properties of the fluid keeping an animal alive. It dictates these wild, vivid colors, ranging from bright red to blue to neon green. Nature is essentially playing with a massive chemistry set to optimize oxygen transport for incredibly specific, harsh environments. Finally, let's look at Section 4. Managing waste and water, or taking out the trash. For our final engineering challenge, we're turning to the excretory system. Because as any engineer will tell you, every efficient running machine creates byproducts, and it needs a reliable way to take out the trash. Interestingly, we see a brilliant parallel here to respiration. Just as some simple organisms solve the challenge of breathing by using their general body surface, they also utilize that exact same surface for their excretory system. Nature loves multitasking. Using a single cellular boundary for both fuel intake and exhaust output is just incredibly efficient. But for more complex life, waste management isn't just about dumping trash. It's deeply tied to structural balance. A huge component of this is osmoregulation, which is the active regulation of the osmotic pressure of an organism's body fluids. Think of osmoregulation as the ultimate automated pressure valve. It is a strict internal water and pressure management system, constantly bailing water out or holding water in to ensure the biological machine doesn't literally burst from too much pressure or dry up and collapse from too little. To maintain that perfect homeostasis, biology relies on incredibly specific math. A highly precise quantitative metric for this internal balance is 300 milliosmoles per liter. Now, what does that actually mean, and why is this exact number so important? Well, to put it into perspective, this specific concentration actually mirrors the salinity of the ancient oceans where life first evolved. So, to survive on dry land, our bodies are literally engineered to maintain a microscopic, perfectly balanced ocean environment inside of us at all times. This target metric highlights just how mathematically precise biological engineering must be to sustain life. The stakes of hitting this number are absolute. If an animal's filtration system fails to hit this exact mathematical target, toxic byproducts build up instantly, internal pressure goes entirely haywire, and the biological machine completely shuts down. It's a profound testament to the exactness of natural selection. Seeing biology mapped out as structural, chemical, and mathematical engineering is truly eye-opening, isn't it? We've explored how nature engineers grand solutions for sourcing fuel, delivering it with completely blue or green chemical vehicles, and scaling up internal engines to maximize survival. So I'll leave you with this final thought. If nature has successfully engineered such bizarre, brilliant, and deeply precise solutions just to keep these living machines running, what other invisible, beautifully engineered systems are operating inside every single creature you see right now, just waiting to be discovered? Keep that curiosity alive, and thanks for joining me on this Explain.